This took me quite a while. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a time consumer. And to video every step and show it to you guys are going to stop watching pretty quick. So I had to take some of the video out just to like shorten it up. I still give you the content, but I wanted to shorten it up. But even then, it's still going to be a long video. But anyway, we've recreated. Now I think this is the third time I built one of these for these Thunderbirds. One on the other side and two for this side. And this last one I built with a pattern, the flexible pattern, right here. Our good old flexible patterns. And I'll tell you, I think the first time I saw this done, Ray Chalene, he's in New England. I don't know if he still does videos or not. He was getting up in age, but Ray Chalene is the one I first saw this on. Then I saw it in quite a few other places. This is a very crude one compared to what Ray Chalene has. Anyhow, you can go look up his channel. I think Bennett's Customs does them as well. He does a much better job than I do too. That's a very crude one. You can go right to the limit with these. And if you're building, you know, top quality cars, you know, you have a customer and you want to give them the best, then you'll learn to do a better job than what I did. But this will get you through for, you got a little hot rod or a little, you know, a classic car that you want to get on the road and you just want to make a panel, and you have a panel just to get the print off of, even if it's a buddy's panel to get the print off of, go for it, because it sure makes the job go a lot faster. You know where you are all the time, and I already know that it's a little bit low there, a little bit there, so it needs to come up some, and a little bit in here, this needs to come out a tiny bit, and then in this way. But when I get the rear valance back on, I'll be able to adjust all those things. We need to make this shape here in it, that shape. So they kind of has to go, so this is the body line here. So it has to go in and out a little bit. And this is number 7 gauge, and number 6 was just a little bit less, and number 5 is a little bit less, and flat at number 4. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try it with this propane bottle, see how close I can get it. Probably making a big mistake here, but and by the time it gets to number 4, yeah, there's some putting some dimples in it here. But let's see if we're anywhere near. It is definitely putting shape in it. So this has got to get out of the way, so that's going to have to be bent around as well. And like I say, by the time it gets to number 4, there's almost nothing left in it. I can always take the shape back out. Where's my clampies? That's far too much, I know. Actually, by the time this bends down, it may not be far too much. I know there was a swoop in and then a wrap around. So anyway, I'm going to go with that for now. I'll try to straighten it up a little bit. It's kind of ugly. All right, and then we're going to have to bend this. So we're going to have to put this wrap in. So I have a bit of missing information from my my templates or my gauges. So what I'm going to do, because I need to know where this radius starts, or somewhere. So it looks like it comes down to about there, and then it starts to curl under. So what I'm going to do is measure it with a tape measure, one of the flexible tape measures, right from the notch here. And we'll measure it along, and it starts to curve right around. You got to make sure it stays tight to the rig here. I mean, this is all kind of close, so about 7 1/4 inches down from the top line. That's where it starts to roll under. So you got these little fabric tapes for doing fabric work. They work pretty good, these little ones. So Right there, 7 1/4. See that line, like when you, on the old Thunderbirds, this was a very wide flange here, and by the time it got back to here, it was a very narrow flange. If you have one of these Thunderbirds, you want to take a look and you'll know what I mean. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure, I'm not going to measure every one because that is actually a straight line, but I'll measure it back to number 3 and then we can start bending that and we'll deal with this later. We're going to start to roll this. So this was 6 1/4 inches, roughly. I mean, this is all going to be, have to be manipulated and all that kind of thing. But I want a piece of wood on there. So just give me a second and I'll get a piece of wood. All right, let's get it clamped a bit. And then I'll start to roll this slightly, if I can roll it by hand. And now all we're going to do is just start gradually moving this. Just gradually, not much at a time. I don't want to put ridges in it. I could probably do that on the brake, but then the brake puts marks in it. Well, this will too, as a matter of fact, but we'll see how it goes. We'll set it back 3/4 of an inch or so, inch. It's more like an inch, I guess. Each time the bench is marking it up. And do it again, see what happens. I can hammer and dolly those marks out. That's not a problem. That's underneath anyway. I think I'm gonna have to get something. That's getting tough. Yeah, it's getting tough. So, oops, that's getting a little too aggressive. That may not have been, that may have been too far. All right, let's see. This is gonna have to be all manipulated anyway back here. So this is going to have to start tipping under real quick here. Yeah, I should have had something rounded on there. I wish I had a piece of pipe. Well, it is what it is. You work with what you have to work with. And we'll do something with it later. Oh, yeah. It'll look like crap first. It always looks like crap before it looks good. All right, that's gonna look like crap, but it'll give us a chance to put our gauges on it. Where's my number 7 gauge? Number 7, let's see if that did anything. It's getting closer. That needs to be curved sooner, see? So we're still not, we need to bring this right where I had that line, it needs to come quicker. It needs to be more aggressive. See what that looks like. A little better. It's still riding up right here. Oh, that's tough. And then this will have to come back out some, of course. Getting closer, I'll just keep working it. All right, I played with that a little bit and just manipulating, bending a little bit by hand, a little bit of hammering, not much hammering, more bending by hand. And now it's coming out pretty decent. Still gonna need a little manipulation. Let's see what number 6 looks like on there. Number 6. Number 6 needs a little bit more. Needs to come out here a little bit and out there a little bit. All right. We probably almost put it on the car and try it, but we'll see. As long as those gauges fit, that's all we need. So this is not 18 gauge metal. This is 19. I found a piece. Very hard to get 19 gauge metal. It's much easier to work with than 18 gauge. So I'm going to have to do a lot less grinding on the seam and leave more weld on it and just tap it down and fill it. So, but the different gauge is so much easier to work with. It's amazing the difference in them. But anyway, that's why it seems like I'm able to manipulate it easier. Well, because I can. So let's just do a little fit there and see if that helps any on number 6 gauge. And of course, every time you make a move like that, you need to recheck the other one too. But I'll check them all before I weld it on. Yep, that's got to come up more yet. I wish I could find more 19 gauge metal. This guy had some, so I bought it from, yeah, that's not bad. That's not too bad. So anytime I see anything that's 19 gauge, I'm buying it. This will need a little finessing. It looks a little too sharp there, but there's going to be a flange welded on that, right from here up. So the flange for the wheel skirt and stuff, and for the for the fender. So what does that's number 6. Where's number 5? How does it fit? So number 5, how does it fit? Oh, number 5. Number 5 needs a lot of work yet. Let me try number 7 again after I've been playing with number 6. So number 7 looks pretty darn good. So when you're doing your clecos or sheet metal screws or whatever it is that you're holding on with, you just got to make sure that don't put it in front of those lines, otherwise you'll have a hard time with you. You can always change the hole. I mean, it's just drill a new hole. Here's number 7. So now that's it on the car. Well, I'll continue on, and then when we get back here, if you can see that, when we get back to this area, that's where it's going to take a little bit different situation there, because there's a little bit of forming that needs to be done in that area. And sometimes you think, well, maybe I shouldn't have done this first, but here we are. So now I think since number 7 is fitting pretty good, this is number 7 right here, and it's fitting pretty good on there, just like so. I think what I want to do is lock down this shape right here on this flange end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a piece of flat metal, and I'm going to get the lip in it. There's a lip for the wheel, for the fender flare. Also, once I start doing that, I'm going to have to bring it back to what the actual length is. So I'm going to have to clean that line up right there a little better, get rid of this extra metal. So all right, so I have the fender skirt from the hardtop car. It's painted gray, as you can see, Nardo gray. So what I'm going to do to get this shape, I'm just going to run first I'm going to run a little bit of tape, because I don't want to scratch this paint up. I run a little bit of tape along the area that I'm going to be working. And this is just painter's tape, just like so, just to give it a little protection. There, try not to cut the new paint. All right, so that's trimmed back. So now I can start putting some layers of tape. So I need to get this whole area here, this shape, duplicated. The best I can, anyway. I'll start out here, and I only need to go up to this body line, but I'll go a little bit past, just so I have a record of it. All right. Painter's tape is good, except for the fact that it doesn't always stick as well as you need. Now, I don't need a lot of the pattern on this side, but I'd like to get more of the flange area. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a few layers on like that, and as long as it covers the flange, that'll give me my pattern. So we'll do it right up to about there as far as the tape goes. So let me put a few pieces of that on, and we'll go from there. There, that'll do it. That'll be strong enough that it won't fall apart on me. And now, since I'll just rub that in pretty good, I'll just trim it along with my razor knife. A good sharp one. This is a new one here. I used one end only. So. Let's see how it goes. It's not as sharp as I'd like it to be. All right, I'll get through that hole. There we go. That'll do it. There, that's smooth. So following it as tight as I can get it. I gotta be careful coming up on this curve. I don't want to cut into the tape. I'll just trim that off. And I'll do the bottom, and I want to bring it right around, because that's part of, I'll show you in a second. comes down to a bit of a point there, so you want to come right around. I want to capture that end point because that'll tell you where the end of that flange goes. All right, that's gone. Save that up there so I don't have to bend over and pick it up off the floor. Now let's do up here, break through, and same thing, come along, and I'll be able to save this piece now, this template. Oh, cutting through the underguard tape. I don't want to do that. There. And we'll get rid of this piece. So what we're left with is a shape. So this fender skirt may be a little bit bent right here. If you can see that or not. So I think the fender skirt has a little bit of a wowie right there. So I'm going to take that out of it because that shouldn't have that in there. But I'll check. All right, there we go. We got that done. Now I will mark, well, I don't have to mark it because it's already there. You can see it quite clearly, but I wouldn't mind kind of just roughly marking where the edge of the thickness of this is. Now this is the fender skirt, so obviously it's not the same as the actual fender, but it should be pretty darn close. I just want to mark the hard lines in there. And then I'll mark, because they kind of, right about there into there is the bend. So now we have the shape. And that shape can be flipped over to either side. We've got a piece of steel, so let's just trace it out here, following that tape line, and I'll cut it off flush with the black line. Change my marker a little bit better angle. And that's pretty much it, guys, for that. So now I'll trim that out. That's pretty straightforward stuff. All right, so now we have a pattern. So let's pull this off and kind of show you. So there's the shape that we need. And of course, this will be, in the finished one, this flange will be like that, roughly. Won't be exactly like that. So I'll cut this off. On these cars where the fender skirt gasket goes, and this is a piece of fender skirt gasket, you can see this piping right there. And then there's a lip that went over the back of the fender skirt. So this would be facing out toward the body. So there has to be a step in this. So the step needs to go equal enough room to accommodate for that piping. So I have to mark that in. So I've done this quite a few times before, and there's a few ways. I've done it on the bead roller, and I've done it on by hand. And my bead roller, unfortunately, is buried deep inside of some stuff, and I don't feel like digging it out. So what I'm going to do this by hand with a cold chisel, dull cold chisel, and a hammer, and on the vise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little bit of room here to keep me from distorting the metal, and that'll give me a decent line. So before I cut this out, I want to put that that step back in, that little bit of a step. And if you're not sure what I'm doing, just hang on and I'll show you. You'll see. All right, so I got this all laid out. I've got myself a dull chisel. Hopefully it's not too dull. If it is, I'll stop and we'll change it out to something else. So this piece here, the wide part of the flange has to be raised. The thin part needs to be lowered. That's why I left a lot of material on there so I can actually work with it. So we'll put it in the vise, and I'm going to start right around here somewhere. Just start tapping this in, and I'm going to test it. Like I said, if the chisel's not sharp enough, I'll change it out. I don't like that. That's too much because there's a bend there. So I got to keep the bends. Let's see what we can do with this. All right, I'll put something in it anyway, if nothing else. Now I'll go over here. Yeah, and this doesn't need to be perfect because mostly it's hidden, but you do want it to be very close when the fender skirts aren't on the car. Let me just go here a little bit. I'm just going to do a little tiny bit and then I'll move it again. Little bit at a time. It's a slow, but I can't get at my bead roller, so. I don't want to tear this metal. It's thinner metal, so I have to be careful with that too. So you don't want to tear your metal. When you're doing that, you can tear it quite easily. That's why I don't like to use a sharp cold chisel. A sharp one will give a better defined look, but let's just do this. See what kind of results we get? It has to be the depth of that bead, that piping that was there on that bead. On that gasket rather, fender skirt gasket. Yeah, you don't need to drive it right home. All right, that's a little bit. All right, I'll do a little notch there. All right, let me get this done, and I'll come back and show you what I have. All right, look at that. Looking good, looking good. Now there's a problem with this. I just made myself one for the right-hand side of the car, not the left-hand side, because I forgot one part of it all. So this was like this. I needed to flip it over and do it, or mark it up on, well, and you can mark it up on the other side. So when you put it on this side, it fits. But if you put it on this side, what I just did there is wrong. So that would be over on the other side of the car, and it would be like this. You'd weld it on, and you'd have your step, and this would be cut out. So let's make another one. Anyway, it's good practice. But I also want to say you could body hammer this out. The little divots that are in there, or just smooth it up some. The tool I'm using is a bit rough. I could dress it up, which I probably should dress it up a bit. But yeah, don't make it wrong, unless you need two of them. Anyway, I got one for the right side now. I'll set that aside. And let's make one for the left side. Okay, well that took about another 15, 20 minutes. Probably closer to 20 than 15. So now I have one for each side. Anyway, yeah, so whatever side you're making it for, remember to flip it over. Okay, so now that we have it made, I am going to have to trim it out, but I'll have to bend it as well. And I already have the curve there, but I need to clean this up some. So I need to clean this line up so I get a very, very close curve, and it'll have to match up with this one here. So I already know the arch here, sort of, on this part. I just have to continue it on down there. So this will have to be cleaned up, and this will have to be bent, and then we can weld that piece on. All right, so I'm going to cut this out with a grinder, and I'm going to leave a little bit long on this edge so I can trim it up when I need to. So let's get this done. All right, so I put it back on the piece, my little template here, and I'm going to get one of these made more rigid out of plywood also, so it doesn't stretch or anything, but I'm just treating it gently. So I have it back on the shape, just to make sure that it is the shape, and it's good. It's good, except just a tiny bit, I cut just a tiny bit too much off there, so that'll be a little bit gappy. But the rest is pretty much bang on. So that means when I go up in here and put it up, and I using this body line here as a pointer. So when I go in here with it, I should be able to weld that right in. So that shows me right there that so it's fitting up here pretty good. That this still needs some work here as well. But this will straighten it out because this is the shape it needs to be. If that makes sense. So once we trim this back a bit, I can get it up there, and then we can start manipulating this leading edge because it's bent up a little bit. I know that the number 7 here is pretty good. So I went ahead and tacked this on, and you notice I left lots to go up here because there was a gap. You guys probably couldn't see it in the earlier part of the video, but there's a big gap right where my finger's running along on the actual flange for this wheel arch. So now this lines up with that, comes down, and I left it, which I think is a tiny bit long, maybe a couple of millimeters long in this area. I can, if it's not, then I'll leave it, but if it is, I can also just split it and just tack it back down. That's why I didn't completely weld it. So right now, how it sits with our gauges on number 7 is pretty darn good. Like down there, a little bit down in this area, I have to bring out some. And I can split this a little bit and manipulate it some. So now, how is 6? What's number 6 look like? Number 6 is looking okay. It's tight at the bottom down here. So I'll have to bring that body line, this piece up. I'm gonna bring this up some because when I get back here, I noticed it fell off. So my just freehand bending really was not that accurate, but it got the job done. So I'm gonna bring that up some, and I'm gonna try to fit number 5 a little better. And number 5, what did we do with number 5? So I have number 5 right here, and I believe number 5 it needs a lot. So number 5 needs a lot of that bottom, like I just said, brought in. But I think up in here is not terrible, this area here. But this definitely needs to be brought up because it's too low. This is way too low. And if it's low there, then it's going to be low way up here. So I'm going to have to bring it all up. This line, like I mentioned earlier, there's a line that runs here. I put that line on, so I need to bring this around a little higher, closer to that line. So I'm just using my piece of railway anvil, and I'm just going to lightly, using my hammers, bring it around. So cover your ears, it's going to be a little bit noisy. And then when we get, we'll check it with the gauges after. And then this will have to be tucked a little bit too. All right, what gauges do we need here? Let's just check with 5, 6, and 4. So number 4 gauge, still, if you can see it there, it's still tight. So this still needs to come around more yet. And let's see how number 5 is. So number 5 gauge, it still needs to come around more here. And here's number 6. And number 6 is not too bad. So I need to bring this whole thing down more yet. So we only did a little tiny shot at it. So let's just continue on. And I can see the line, like you guys probably can't see it, but the light line from the ceiling, I can see that chasing that along. So I know where I have to hit it just to straighten that line back out. And right now it's kind of ugly. I might put it in the English wheel to straighten it out after. So I'm trying to chase that line towards the marker line. Now I'm not going to worry about too much down in here just yet because that has to be rolled right around. But I'm going to bring it up to here because that's where it starts rolling. And if we go too far, we bring it back. Oh, keep your hammer flat. Dug in a little, let's had the hammer tilted. Bring this around best we can. Still not right there, it looks tight. All right, now what do we have? Number 6. Number 6, to be honest with you, is bang, smack on. Number 6. Number 5, where are you, number 5? And number 5 is still tight right here. All right, a little more on number 5. A little more on aisle 5. Coming, a little more, right in there. We'll get it straightened out first. Stay down there. And I'm trying not to make that ringing sound, because that means I'll be stretching the metal, and I'm not trying to stretch it, I'm just trying to bend it. I don't want to get a wowie in it. If I start pounding on it, it's going to start wanting to go that way. Number 5, where are you? Oh, that's much better. Just a little bit more. It's almost, actually, this is too far bent, maybe. Yeah, the radius here is good, so I think I just have to take a little out of this. So let's see, how can I do that without destroying this? Let me just try it by hand. Number 5, where are you? Just take a little out of it. Well, that brought it in. A little bit more. Let's see. Maybe I can do it on here. It'd be easier. I guess I was a little overzealous on the... Sometimes rubbing it is all you need, just to kind of relax the metal a bit. Well, I'm going to say... Wow. So I'm going to say number 5 is good right now. It's a little bit more... Just a tiny bit more out of it. And then I'm going to check 6 again, because that's what happens. When you move one, you'll end up moving the other one. We're just talking about little micro moves here. Oh yeah. All right. So that took that out up there, but there's not enough of it right in here now. So, let me see if I can do something here. And this can all be hammered a little bit and done. Oh yeah, that's not bad now. That's good for a start. Let's try 6 to make sure it didn't move too much on 6. 6 is still decent, a little low there. 5 is a little low there, but we'll fix that after. How's 7 looking? That's 4. 4 I don't think would have... Well, 4 is not terrible. A little bit more here on 4. What do we do with 7? 7 I'm not too worried about. I have it locked down. Yeah, 7 could come out here a little bit too. We'll do that with a hammer after. So let's go, 4 needs a little more. Let's try 4 and 3 now. Four. Well, yeah. 4. 4, 4, 4. 4, I've gone too far here now. So let's just take a little bit back out of 4. And 4 needs a little bit more right in here. So I'll try to get this, if I can just hammer a little bit without dinging things up. All right, let's try that. Let's try 4 now. No, it's too crown, too much crown or too much shape in it there. So I need to bring that right back out. So, all right, let's do it this way. Maybe a little on 5. Rub it a little bit so it relaxes some. Now let's try 4. Oh yeah, that changed it. It's a little low right there. I'm not going to worry about that just yet because I got a lot of forming to do. 3. How does 3 look? 3 is tight right here, so let's get a little more on that. I might as well chase it along to the corner. All right, let's see what 3's doing. Where did we do with 3? Where did we put it? Oh yeah. So 3, the radius is too long here on 3, and it's too much the same as 4. It's too low in the center. So let's see what we can do with that. And I'll get rid of this radius a bit. See how it looks. That right there is, I gotta bring that out a little bit further. Hard to, it's a little long for my, I'll do it over here. Number 3. I'm going to call it there on number 3 just in a second. Just so I can see it low right there. So on these Thunderbirds, this whole thing is actually a flat. It's a straight push, but it just goes up on an incline. But it's a straight line. It doesn't look like it on the car. It's a little bit deceiving, but it is. That's number 3. We'll need that. Try it again. Okay. I'm going to call that good a number 3 for now. There's going to be a lot of distortion going on in there. So now, where's number 2? Number 2 is right here. Now number 2 is a little bit different breed because that's the top of the line. So number 2 that already started to come around the corner. So that number 2 is like a J. And that would be the bottom right there is the bottom of it. So this whole thing needs to be wrapped around, starting to be wrapped around. So to do that, I'm going to get my shrinker stretcher because I want to shrink here first. So I want to start shrinking it right in this area. As you can see, this curve right here. Well, this curve, that's the end of the straight push, and then this wraps right around and goes the other way around this curve. So I'm going to start shrinking this and see what happens. Here we are with the shrinker. I hope I have enough room here. So what I want to do, I want to shrink this around. So this is it's going to start folding that. I'm just going to do little bits at a time, and I'm starting at the beginning of that arch, because I know that's where it has to go. And I'll do little bites, just little bites. This piece here, this little piece, that needs to be relatively straight because that joins the rear valance. As I shrink this, this should start to roll inward. Of course, all you people that have shrinkers already know that. But the people that don't, and are interested in getting one, they are a very handy little tool in this type of work. So I'm going to go a little deeper, start dragging it in. So you can start to see what's going on there now. This is starting to roll over like that. but it's not going to work all the way. So I'm going to have to probably shrink up in here a little further, shrink this area a tiny bit just to get it to roll too. So let's try that just a little bit before it gets out of hand here. So once you go too far, it's hard to get a bite back on it again. Just remember, that has to roll right around. I'll go a little deeper with it, just a little bit deeper. If you can see that, what I'm trying to do is to bring this on this line, fold it right around, as you probably noticed. So it's going to take a little bit. Now I can shrink it this way as well, if you guys can see better, but I don't know if I can. It's easier for me to shrink it this way, but I didn't know if you could see it, so, and the table's in the way. Let's give it a little shrink out there. And any marks, we can plenish them out with a hammer, or we can put them on the English wheel. I'm going to bring it a little bit further back. Yeah, so it's starting to come around nice. I'm going to do a little more shrinking there. And generally I end up having to do a bit of hammer and dolly on this stuff too, so it's never 100%. Well, let's just check our patterns and see how number 2 is doing now. So number 2 is much better, but this needs to roll under a lot more yet. And I think what I'm going to do a little bit more shrinking right here, and then I'm going to put it on my anvil and hammer it out a little bit. But you can start to see how the shape comes like this, and then this line should go right up to this corner. But I can't shrink too much there. I could try a little bit. If it's too far, I'll just bring it back out. I'll just do on the edge, just to help it along a little bit. Just light shrinks. I don't want to do too much. But again, you can always take it back out. All right, let's check with the pattern again. Number 2. It's coming, but it still needs more. I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to do that on the rail. All right, so let me get set up for videoing on the rail. Well, that's coming along quite nice, but I'm going to do a little hammering on it. Just light tapping to get that number 2 gauge. So let's keep that gauge close at hand. And number 2 and number 3. So with number 2 gauge, it looks like this is too high right there. So I got to bring that down some. All right, let me see if I can find a spot on my little anvil here. Without putting divots in like I just did. So you can see this line. So right now, when I'm looking at the light from above, it goes along like this, and then the light drops off. So it tells me I need to bring the light more along here. So I'm going to try to chase it from 3 over. And it's not going to be pretty for a bit. Oh, that's not number 2. Here's number 2. So now this is high, but this has gone too far. So I'm going to tap this back out. There's no point in going too far with it. That's way too far on number 2. Yeah, this has got to come back way out. I've gone too far. But you know what? we can make it work. Just getting a spot that I can put it all in here. Yeah, this will do. How does number 3 look while I'm here? Number 3, that's important too at this stage. Yeah, number 3 is a little high on the crown, so we're going to take that back down some. Or on the radius, sorry. Yeah, like I said, you got to chase that line around. And this is where it turns, so like when you look at the bottom of your Thunderbirds, you'll see that you look from on the bottom, that goes along and then it just whips right around. Try it here. I'm going to try to bring this, because I know this has to come around. Right on that. That line is what, right here, that joins onto the valance. So I already know that that comes right around facing the back. That may give us enough direction. Number 2. Ha-ha! She's coming. I got a little bit here. Now, and number 3, with the exception of its low right there, is almost bang on. So if it's low right there, I could probably fix that pretty quick. All right. Oh, it's still a little tiny bit low. Right in that lower part, right from this line down. Now, another one we can check is number 1. Now that we're getting to the point where we can get some data off number 1. Number 3 again. So number 3, I guess probably can't see it, but it's almost bang on. So I have number 1, and it has all the marks lined on it. So we're still for number 1. So we lined up with number 4 and 3. So number 1 on that, if you're right on that line, we still need more over there. So that means this is going to get out of shape again. But at least we have a map of what we're doing. Now up in here, this flares out the other way. So this is a fairly complex pattern here. Let's see what happens with number 1 now. So it's on, so it's got to go more yet. And that may bring number 2 out some. Look at that. A little bit on that line has to go in. Just a smidge. Oh, a little more yet. I was premature. This has to come back more yet, this roll. It should be like a 90 degree from, not quite 90, from here to around to the valance, but it's not quite 90. I know that because I checked it with a square this summer when I was doing this. All right, let's try this. So right at line 2, this line at the end is too far. Line 2 needs to come in about here on line 2. A little bit more roll. And this has to come back up just a tiny bit. Oh, man, that's getting very close. Very close. This whole thing right here has to drop down some. And it's probably because 3 is a little low. Now you just notice that it's starting to bulge out there again. I'm going to have to shrink more there. This needs to come out a little bit. I am going to say that's good enough for that right now. So now we go back to 1. Where's number 1? Put 3 over there. Or the number 1, sorry. Back to number 2 and number 3. So number 3 is almost cracky on. And where's that other guy? Oh, he's over here. Number 2, I believe it is. So look at that. Because when I put these on, I put them on 90 with it. That's bang on. You know what? Other than some blemishes that I have to take out, I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to shrink this a tiny bit right here first. So give me a second. I'm going to shrink it a little bit, make it look a little neater, because it needs to roll under. Actually, I wonder if I can do that. No, it has to shrink. That's why it got pushed out. So give me a second. Let's start with number 4. I want to just do the gauges again. So number 4, how does it fit? And I already know what it fits because I went through and did this before I turned the camera back on. I did some tweaking and stuff, but just minor stuff. Boring. That one's fitting good. Number 4 fits good. We'll set him aside. And where's number 3? Right here. And number 3 is fitting decent. It's a tiny, tiny bit low. Right in this area, just a tiny bit, but we can deal with that later. Number 2. Number 2 again, 90 degrees to the panel. If you can see that, 2 is fitting really good, except for right in here. This is a little bit low right there. And then this is number 1, the one that goes on the vertical, or horizontal rather. And I line it up with all the vertical patterns. All right, so number 1 vertical one, it's looking pretty good. It's a little bit here, maybe a little bit low, but until I get the valance on, I won't know for sure. I'd rather have it in far enough and then I can pull it back out and then the shape's already in it. And I have a feeling that it has to come out just a tiny, tiny bit right there. But that's great. We can go by and check 6. I think 6, wouldn't have changed much there. 6 is good. And of course 7 is locked down by that flange we put on it. And number 7's a tiny bit low right in there. But so there's a little bit of tweaking to do. And I notice, but if I put 5 on, it looks odd there, but I think it's the transition because it's bang on 5. Yeah. Maybe a tiny bit low there, just a millimeter. All right, well, we have it formed pretty good. I wonder how it looks on the car. Is it gonna fit at all? So let's put some Clecos in it and we'll go around and have a peek. My friend Cleco. I tell you guys, if you're gonna do any of this stuff, sheet metal work like this, and you're planning to do this, get yourself a set of Clecos. Just the copper color ones are fine. And of course you need the plier for it. They make it so much easier as I struggle to put one on. Let's put one over here on the back side of it. There we go. So like I mentioned before earlier that this here area, it has to flare out, so that's not fitting perfect there. I'll do that when I go to weld it in. One more Cleco. Do we have another Cleco? Right here. All right, very good. So that's it. She's on there. I see right here, I need to take it up just a shade. It's kind of goes along and then it dips down and back up. That's easy. That can be done when it's married to the wheelhouse extension. So I want to look at it around here is how close it is to the original that was in there. Now remember, that original was damaged and I had to hammer it out. But that's not too bad, eh? Not too bad at all. See? It's coming in and touching it. Now this was damaged up in here and rusted and everything. So it's not bad. It's not bad. But it looks good. Looks good. So I think, you guys, this is the part here I thought it looked kind of shadowy right along in here, right there, and right here looked a little bit odd. So I'm going to have to do a little hammering and dolling just to take that look out of it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with that. All right, that's looking pretty spiffy right there. I like it. I'm sweating too. So I appreciate everyone for hanging in there this long. You guys are just troopers. So in the next video, I would like to be able to have the inner, like the structure inside here back in and welded and everything, and this finished. But we'll see. But that's my goal, is to completely finish this section right here. I want to thank all the OG subscribers, men and women both alike, because I do get there's about 8-9% of my content is viewed by women. Right on, I like that. Get in there, get this stuff done. Now they may be looking at repair videos. Either way, they're watching. And the new subscribers, thanks a lot for coming along for the ride. That's it for this one. So let's get some work done, and we'll get back on to the next one.